In 1919, a man in Ohio pulled his unmarked van up to a quiet suburban house, spent 4 hours doing a job most people would pay almost anything to avoid, and drove away with a check for $11,000. No degree, no fancy equipment, just a strong stomach and the willingness to do what nobody else would touch. That is the secret hiding in plain sight. The dirtiest, most avoided work in America is quietly making ordinary people rich. Number 14 can clear 6 figures with almost no competition. And number 3 is so hard to fill that customers wait weeks and pay whatever is asked. These are the services nobody wants to do anymore, the ones that make people wrinkle their noses, but that customers quietly pay a fortune for. Before we start, hit that subscribe button. Let's count down. Number 20, portable toilet servicing. Everybody has walked past a row of blue plastic boxes at a fair or a construction site and thought nothing of the person who keeps them working. That person is doing very well. A single portable toilet rents for around $150 a month, and one truck can service dozens in a day. The work is exactly what you imagine. A vacuum hose, a holding tank on the truck, and a route that never runs out of customers, because construction never stops, and neither do outdoor weddings, marathons, and music festivals. Here is what nobody tells you. The barrier to entry is not skill. It is disgust. Almost nobody wants to do it, which means the operators who do face almost no competition. A route owner with a handful of trucks can pull in several $100,000 a year. The smell keeps the field wide open. The people willing to hold their breath keep the money. Number 19, gutter cleaning. It sounds almost too simple to pay well. You climb a ladder, scoop rotting leaves and black sludge out of a channel bolted to a roofline and climb back down. But that black sludge is the point. Homeowners hate this job. It is high off the ground. It is filthy, and one clogged gutter can rot a fascia board or flood a basement, turning a $20 chore into a $20,000 repair. So they pay someone else. A 2-story house can run $150 to $300 for an hour or 2 of work, and every home in the neighborhood needs it twice a year. Every single year. Forever. A crew working steady through fall can gross thousands in a weekend. The homeowner stays safely on the ground. The person on the ladder, scooping decomposed leaves with gloved hands, walks away with the kind of cash people assume requires a diploma. Number 18, chimney sweeping. Most people think the chimney sweep vanished with top hats and old movies. He did not. He just started charging more. Creosote, the tarry black residue that builds up inside a flue, is one of the leading causes of house fires in America, and insurance companies and building codes both know it. A standard inspection and cleaning runs $150 to $400, and a full flue repair can climb into the thousands. The work is exactly as messy as it sounds. Soot gets everywhere, on the tarps, in the air, on your face. But there is a twist. The trade skews old. The people who learned it decades ago are retiring, and almost nobody young is stepping in to replace them. That means a sweep with a good reputation and a clean truck can name his price in a lot of towns. Filthy, unglamorous, and quietly recession-proof. Because a cold house in January is a problem people pay to solve fast. Number 17, dead animal and roadkill removal. There is a whole industry built around the thing you swerve to avoid. When a deer dies on a highway median, or a raccoon crawls under a porch and dies in the crawl space, somebody has to come get it. Municipalities contract this work out. Homeowners call in a panic when the smell hits, and the person who answers that call charges accordingly. A single dead animal removal from inside a wall or attic can run $200 to $600 because it often means cutting into drywall, locating the source by smell alone, and deodorizing afterward. Here is the pattern almost nobody notices. This is not seasonal, and it never slows down. Animals die year-round. The competition is thin because the work is grim, and the customer is rarely in a mood to negotiate. When a family cannot use their own living room because of the odor, Price is the last thing on their mind. They just want it gone today, and they will pay for the privilege. Number 16. Dryer vent cleaning. This one hides behind a wall, which is exactly why it pays. Lint builds up in the vent that runs from your dryer to the outside of your house, and that lint is one of the most flammable materials in the average home. Thousands of house fires a year start right there. Most homeowners have no idea the vent even needs cleaning until an inspector or an insurance adjuster tells them. A single service call takes under an hour and runs $100 to $200, and a technician can knock out 5 or 6 houses a day. The tools are cheap: a rotating brush, a vacuum, a drill. The knowledge is what people pay for because they simply do not know their dryer is a fire risk. There is nothing disgusting about it, which makes it the rare entry on this list that is avoided out of pure ignorance rather than squeamishness. The person who knows what that lint can do turns a forgotten hose into a very reliable living. Number 15. Pool cleaning. In the Sunbelt, this is quiet money running under the surface of every subdivision. A pool needs chemistry balanced, filters cleaned, and debris skimmed. And if you get the chemistry wrong, the water turns green and the equipment corrodes. Homeowners with a pool almost never want to learn any of that, so they hand it off. A weekly route charges anywhere from $100 to $200 a month per pool, and the beauty is in the word weekly. It is recurring, predictable, and it stacks. A single tech servicing 40 or 50 pools on a tight route can gross well over $100,000 a year, driving from backyard to backyard with a net and a bag of chemicals. The work is hot and repetitive, and nobody dreams about it as a kid. But that steady monthly bill, multiplied across a whole neighborhood of people who would rather not touch chlorine, is the kind of boring, invisible income that outlasts almost every flashier job. Number 14. Grease trap cleaning. Here is where the numbers start to jump. Behind every restaurant is a tank buried in the ground that catches the fat, oil, and grease rinsed off every plate and pan. If it overflows, the kitchen shuts down, the health department gets involved, and the sewer authority starts writing fines. That tank has to be pumped clean on a schedule, and the contents are exactly as vile as you would guess: congealed, rancid, and unforgettable. A single grease trap cleaning runs $150 to $500, and a busy restaurant needs it monthly. A route servicing a few dozen restaurants across a city can quietly generate several $100,000 a year. And there is a second income hiding inside the first. The collected grease can be sold to renderers who turn it into biodiesel and animal feed. Cooks in the industry call it liquid gold for a reason. It is one of the most repellent jobs in food service, and it pays like a specialty trade because almost nobody is willing to open that lid. Number 13. Drain and sewer rooter service. When a toilet backs up and the plunger fails, the panic sets in fast, and panic is very good for business. A rooter tech shows up with a motorized cable, a camera, and sometimes a high-pressure water jet, and clears a clog that could be anything from tree roots to decades of buildup. A simple snaking runs $150 to $300, but push a camera down the line and find a collapsed pipe under the yard, and the job climbs into the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. Here is the part that keeps operators smiling. The customer is at their most desperate. Nobody negotiates hard when sewage is rising toward the floor. The work is genuinely unpleasant, dealing with the contents of everyone's worst day, but the emergency premium is enormous. Experienced techs and small shop owners regularly clear 6 figures because a backed-up main is not a want. It is a stop everything, fix it now, name your price kind of problem. Number 12. Septic tank pumping. Roughly 1 in 5 American homes is not connected to a city sewer. Instead, everything drains into a tank buried in the yard, and every few years, that tank has to be pumped out before it fails. A failed septic system is a nightmare that can cost $15,000 or $20,000 to replace, so homeowners pay to stay ahead of it. A routine pump-out runs $250 to $600 and takes under an hour, One truck can service several homes a day, and rural areas have far more septic systems than pumping companies. That imbalance is the whole story. Demand outstrips the number of people willing to do it, so operators stay booked solid and set their own rates. The work is the definition of a job nobody brags about at a dinner party. But the people who own the trucks are often the quietly wealthy ones in town, running a business their neighbors would never dream of touching, on a schedule the human body guarantees will never end. Number 11. Bee removal and relocation, not extermination. Removal. When a colony sets up inside a wall or an attic, a homeowner cannot legally or safely just spray it, especially with honeybees, which people increasingly want saved rather than killed. So they call a specialist who suits up, opens the wall, and extracts the entire colony, comb and all, sometimes vacuuming thousands of live bees into a box to be rehomed. A live removal runs $300 to $1,000 or more, depending on how deep into the structure the hive is burrowed. The skill is real, the risk is real, and the season is short, which is exactly why the price stays high. Most pest companies will not do a proper live extraction because it is slow and technical. The handful of people who specialize in it become the only name in a region, booked out for weeks in spring and summer, charging premium rates to nervous families who can hear buzzing inside their bedroom wall. Number 10. Bat and wildlife exclusion. A step beyond pest control and a big step up in price. When bats, raccoons, or squirrels move into an attic, you cannot simply poison them out. Bats in particular are federally protected in many situations, and their droppings carry a fungus that causes a serious lung disease, which means the cleanup itself is a biohazard job. Exclusion specialists seal every gap in a roofline, install one-way doors so the animals leave but cannot return, and then decontaminate the mess left behind. A full exclusion and cleanup regularly runs several $1,000s, and a heavy infestation with contaminated insulation can climb well past $10,000. Here is the pattern break. This is not a handyman job, and it is not an exterminator job. It sits in a gap between the two that almost nobody fills, which is why the specialists who do own their market. Grim, technical, and regulated just enough to scare off competitors. It turns the animals in your attic into one of the most profitable niches in the trade. Number 9. Junk removal. On the surface, hauling away someone's old couch does not sound like a fortune, but scale changes everything. A single truckload haul runs $300 to $600. The customer does none of the lifting, and the demand is bottomless because Americans accumulate and discard constantly. The genius of the business is what happens after pickup. Sharp operators sort the load, sell the salvageable items, recycle the metal, and only dump what is truly worthless, turning what the customer paid to remove into a second stream of income. A single hard-working truck can gross several $1,000s a week. The work is heavy and dirty, full of other people's mold, rot, and the surprises inside a hoarded garage are not for the faint of heart. But that unpleasantness is the moat. Most people will not do it, so the ones who will stay booked, charge well, and quietly build fleets of trucks out of the stuff everybody else just wanted gone. Number 8. Hoarder and foreclosure cleanout. This is where junk removal turns into something far heavier and far more lucrative. When a hoarded home has to be emptied or a foreclosed property left in ruins has to be cleared before it can sell, the job can take days and involve conditions that are genuinely hazardous. Rotting food, animal waste, pests, sometimes biohazards. A full cleanout regularly runs several $1,000s, and severe cases climb into 5 figures. Real estate agents, banks, and property managers keep these specialists on speed dial because a house cannot be listed until it is empty and safe, and every day it sits is money lost. The emotional weight is real too, working alongside families in crisis, which is part of why so few people last in the field. That scarcity is the whole business. The crews that can handle both the filth and the delicacy of the situation become irreplaceable, and irreplaceable people set their own prices. Number 7. Water damage and mold remediation. A burst pipe or a flooded basement is a disaster with a ticking clock, and that clock is what makes this one of the biggest earners on the list. Within a day or two, standing water turns into mold, and mold turns a cleanup into a health hazard that must be professionally contained and removed. Remediation companies show up with industrial fans, dehumidifiers, and containment barriers, and a serious job runs anywhere from a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars, very often paid directly by insurance. That last detail matters enormously. When the insurer is writing the check, the customer barely blinks at the number. The work is unpleasant, crawling through wet, moldy spaces in a respirator, but the margins are exceptional. And the demand never stops because pipes freeze, roofs leak, and appliances fail in every season. It is one of the clearest examples on this list of a dirty job that pays like a profession, protected by urgency, insurance money, and the fact that mold genuinely frightens people. Number 6. Attic and crawl space rodent restoration. Under and above your house is a space almost no homeowner will ever willingly enter, and that avoidance is worth a fortune. When rats or mice infest an attic or crawl space, they contaminate the insulation with droppings and urine, chew through wiring, and leave behind an odor and a health risk that a simple trap cannot fix. Restoration means suiting up, crawling into a filthy, cramped space, tearing out the ruined insulation, decontaminating everything, and replacing it. A full restoration commonly runs $5,000 to $15,000. The claustrophobia alone eliminates most of the competition. Add the biohazard, the tight quarters, and the sheer misery of dragging contaminated insulation out on your belly, and you understand why the specialists who do it stay booked and priced high. This is the perfect example of the pattern running through this entire list. The worse the conditions, the fewer people willing to enter them, and the more the ones who do can charge to go where you never will. Number 5. High-rise window washing. Now we leave the ground entirely. The people who clean the glass on skyscrapers hang from ropes or ride swaying platforms hundreds of feet in the air, doing a job that combines tedium with genuine, constant danger. It is not gross, it is terrifying, and that fear is exactly what keeps the pay high. Experienced high-rise window cleaners can earn well into 6 figures, and contracts on major towers run into serious money because the buildings have to be cleaned on a schedule, and there is a very short list of people qualified and willing to dangle off the side of one. The certification, the safety training, and the raw nerve required all narrow the field to a tiny group. Every glass tower in every city is a permanent customer. The person washing those windows at 40 stories up, wind pushing the platform, is being paid not for the soap and squeegee, but for the willingness to be there at all. Number 4. Industrial tank and confined space cleaning. Deep in the industrial world, there are massive tanks that once held oil, chemicals, or sludge, and periodically someone has to climb inside and clean them out by hand. This is confined space work, one of the most hazardous categories of labor that exists, involving toxic fumes, zero room to maneuver, and strict rescue protocols in case something goes wrong. The pay reflects every ounce of that danger. Certified confined space technicians earn premium wages, and specialized crews can bill enormous sums for a single tank because so few workers are trained, willing, and physically able to do it. Here is the reality nobody outside the industry sees. Modern life runs on refineries, plants, and storage facilities, and all of that infrastructure needs cleaning by human beings in spaces built for machines, not people. It is invisible, brutal, and highly regulated, which is precisely why the handful of people qualified to crawl into a chemical tank command the kind of money that stops most people cold. Number 3. Crime scene and trauma cleanup. This is the job most people cannot even discuss without flinching, and that reaction is the entire business model. When something terrible happens in a home, the police leave, but the cleanup is not their responsibility. A specialized, licensed team handles the biohazard remediation, restoring the space safely and discreetly. A single job commonly runs a few $1,000s and can climb far higher depending on severity, and it is frequently covered by insurance. The demand for compassion is as high as the demand for a strong stomach, and the combination is extraordinarily rare. The people who do this work are trained in biohazard handling, discretion, and dealing with families on the worst day of their lives, which is why they are so few and so hard to replace. It is quiet, respectful, and almost entirely hidden from public view. And because so few can handle it emotionally and technically, the companies that specialize become the only call worth making in a field where the customer is never shopping around on price. Number 2, medical and hazardous waste disposal. Every hospital, clinic, dental office, and lab in the country generates waste that cannot simply go in a dumpster. Needles, contaminated materials, and biohazards are all governed by strict federal and state regulations, and getting it wrong means enormous fines and legal exposure. So the entire medical world pays a specialized industry to collect, transport, and destroy it correctly. The contracts are recurring, mandatory, and locked in by regulation, which makes this one of the most stable and profitable services on the entire list. The barrier is not the ick factor alone. It is the licensing, the compliance, and the specialized equipment required to do it legally, all of which narrow the field to a small number of well-capitalized operators. Once a company holds the contracts for a region's clinics and hospitals, the money flows in like clockwork, month after month, because no medical facility can legally open its doors without someone hauling this away. Unpleasant, invisible, and effectively guaranteed by law. Number 1, sewer diving. And at the very top sits the job almost nobody on Earth believes is real until they see it. Commercial divers who descend, fully sealed in a dry suit, into raw sewage and wastewater to repair pumps, clear blockages, and maintain the treatment infrastructure that keeps entire cities functioning. They work in total darkness, by touch alone, submerged in the thing the entire population flushes away, guided only by their hands and a voice on the radio. The pay is staggering by any standard, with experienced sewer and wastewater divers earning well into 6 figures, because the pool of human beings willing and certified to do this is almost impossibly small. It requires commercial diving credentials, immunizations, iron nerves, and a complete disconnection from disgust. And it exists because the alternative, shutting down a city's water treatment, is unthinkable. This is the purest version of the truth running through this entire list. The work everyone refuses to imagine is the work that pays the most. And the person willing to go where no one else will go is the person who quietly gets rich. Look back across all 20, and the one thread ties every single one together. It was never really about skill. The chimney sweep, the septic pumper, the sewer diver, and the crime scene technician are not paid for genius. They are paid for willingness. The dirtier, scarier, or more repellent the job, the fewer people compete for it, and the more the ones who show up can charge. Disgust builds the moat. Fear builds the moat. And on the other side of that moat sit ordinary people writing extraordinary checks because the customer is rarely shopping on price when the problem is rising toward their floor or filling their attic. So the next time you wrinkle your nose at a job, remember, somebody is doing it right now, holding their breath and driving home richer than the people who looked away. Which one surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. And if this changed how you see a paycheck, hit subscribe.